Start the show!
First raconteur tonight is a gentleman who is a veterinarian. I was going to say he's a vet, but he hasn't, to my knowledge, you haven't fought. No. Okay, but he's a veterinarian. He's got this great YouTube show called The Cone of Shame. That's hilarious and awesome, and we all love our pets, right? Yes, we do. And so this guy, he's also a company member at Alchemy Comedy. In fact, I think you were in the 7:30 show, weren't you, Andy? So please be good tonight. You're warmed up. The rest of us aren't. Please welcome for our first story, Mr. Andy Roark.
All right. Guys, thanks for coming. I want to talk about the love-hate relationship that my family has with the Toothfairy. My wife is a college professor. She's a professor at Furman, just right up the road, in the biology department. And she's been a biology professor for about 8 or 9 years now. And she studies environmental contaminants. So things that are in the water, things that are in plastics, things that are in our foods and things like that. And phthalates and all that sort of stuff. We don't microwave plastics. We don't do any of this. And then we got pregnant. And we had our first little child, and no one was allowed to touch it because there were contaminants in the world, and we were the first-time parents. Plus, she studies everything that can go bad in the world. And so I had this child, no one was allowed to touch, and she just lived in this hypoallergenic sack that we had for her. And she played with no plastics, wooden gender-neutral toys. You know what I mean? And it was a sad thing that we did, but we were super protective first-time parents. Well, I have a confession to make. My family is from the mountains of North Carolina, the Appalachian Mountains. So I have Appalachian family. And this gender-neutral wooden plaything lasted until we went to our first Christmas. Yeah, in the mountains. And so there's my daughter behind this little table, and she's sitting there, and she's in her sack, and she's got this wooden truck and these blocks, and I just see my aunt's face. It just is kind of disgust, she's trying to hide it, and finally, sort of the circle comes around to her, and she says, "Hey, Jacqueline, I've got a present for you." And she takes out this present, and it's about the size of a sweater box. It's a little bit bigger. And it's got this pink wrapping paper with silver stripes across it. And she puts it over, and Jacqueline stands up, just reaches out, and she just grabs it, right? And she just tears it down. And the inside is this pink, completely plastic feather boa. It's got a big sign on it that says "Made in Taiwan," right there at the top. "Made in Taiwan." This feather boa, and then there's this tiara with this big gem that flashes light in the middle, plastic, some cheap LED, battery. And then these little slippers that twinkle. They just twinkle. And Jacqueline's got her stupid blocks, and her pupils just dilate, and she's shrieking all this crap. And that was it. That was it. She was a princess little girl. It didn't matter what her mother said or what I wanted or anything. She was a princess little girl. And so at some point, someone mentioned to her there would be a fairy that would visit her. And she grabbed onto this. Because fairies and princesses are like peanut butter and jelly, Fairies appear to princesses like UFOs appear to the opposite of princesses. And she was ready for this fairy to come. And she was about 5 years old, and her tooth got loose. And that kid went to Disney World the same year and didn't have half the excitement she did when this tooth was loose. And so finally, one day it happens, and the tooth comes out. She's in the other room, and we hear this, "Mom! Dad!" And she's running, right? And she runs into the room where we are, the whole family. And she runs in there. She goes, "It came out!" And when she did that, the tooth popped out of her fingers, and it hit the floor, and my dog ate it. Like it's been trained. Like if it hits the floor, just eat it and then see if it tastes good after it's over. You know. He ate her tooth. And if you've ever seen a 5-year-old completely destroyed, it was right now. It was over. Like her life was over. And so we're just like, what do you even say? Like it's just complete devastation. And my wife goes, "You can write her a letter." And you won't be able to see this, I don't think, but I'll try to show you anyway. This is like if you've ever seen a 5-year-old panic and try to write something happy at the same time, you get something like this. And I'll translate because it's backwards and all. She was having problems with B's and D's at the time. But it says, "Dear Toothfairy, it says bog, but it's dog. My dog ate my tooth. Love, Jacqueline." And then she couldn't stop, so she wrote, "Do you understand?" And then this is her mouth, and it says "tooth lost" and an arrow to the place where the tooth was. And then she signed it "Love, Jacqueline" again. And so she put this under her pillow, and the Tooth Fairy came and gave her $2. Yeah, and so the Tooth Fairy was good. And a few months went by, and then she lost another tooth. And she lost another tooth. She lost 2 teeth in the same day. Which is going to happen, I guess. But it did. And so she takes her 2 teeth, and she puts them into this pillow that we have that has a little pocket on it that's specifically made to hold teeth for the Tooth Fairy to get there, right? And so she puts them both in there. And she puts it under her pillow. And my job, I'm on this. So I sneak in there, and I get the pillow out, from under her, and get the teeth out. And I put $3 in. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm out like a ninja. Nobody sees me. I'm in and out. Gone. Step warrior. And the next morning we're eating breakfast. And she comes down and she's got these tears in her face and she goes, "Mom, the Tooth Fairy only gave me $3. It's $2 for a tooth." And my wife looked at me like, "You cheap bastard." And I was like, it's time for her to learn about bulk discounts. She's like, when you buy more of something, you get it for less. Like you need to know that. And my wife was like, "It's going to be okay." Sure, it was a misstep by the Tooth Fairy. I mean, it's just maybe she had a lot of teeth that night and she was coming up short. You get $3. I mean, the kid's never actually bought anything in her life. She's got $1 she carries in this purse and no concept of how to use them. She thinks she could buy a jet if she wanted it. And so a couple weeks go by and this kind of blows over. And she loses another tooth. And back into the pillow it goes. And she loses it first thing in the morning. She wakes up, she loses the tooth, puts it in the pillow, off to daycare. I'm at work, my wife's at work. Put her in bed. She's got everything. My wife tucks her in. I wake up the next morning, I walk into the breakfast, and my wife says, "Did you get the tooth?" And right then we hear, "No!" And I was like, and my daughter comes out, and I'm frantically going like, how do I explain the fact that Tooth Fairy didn't pay for the tooth? And then Jacqueline busts in and she goes, "The Tooth Fairy stole my tooth and didn't leave me any money." I was like, she stole your tooth? It's gone! And the first thing I thought is, who the hell steals a kid's tooth? It wasn't me. Someone else took my kid's tooth and didn't pay for it. I'm pissed. And I look at my wife, and she's looking at me like, let's go find it. Let's go search. And so we go back upstairs. And the tooth has slipped down behind the bed, and it's wedged there in the pillow. And so I'm like, oh, here it is. The Tooth Fairy must not have been able to find it. And so she just left. Let's put it back tonight, and I'm sure she'll come for it. And so Once we realized the Tooth Fairy did not just rip her off and take her tooth without paying for it, everything got better. And so that night, the Tooth Fairy came, took her tooth, left her $3 and a note that said, "Sorry I was short last time."